What's up, guys, and welcome back to the infamous project. I got a special treat for you today, and it's sort of a treat for me too. And if you guys have been following the channel, you would know that my favorite color combo on a Fox is a darker blue on a titanium bottom, exactly like what we have sitting here behind me. So whether you have a dark shadow blue or you have a twilight blue, like this guy here in this case, or you have a royal blue, which was 93 only, consider yourselves lucky. I don't think I'm the only one that favors this color combo. There is just something about it, maybe with the blue oval of the Ford logo, or maybe it's just that thought that you just associate Ford blue and the Mustang together, and there's just something about the two-tone look that is absolutely awesome. So first things first, guys, this is not my car. We're at the commercial shop, so it is in fact a customer car. Now, the funny thing about this particular Fox here is that I saw this car locally on my marketplace, and I think it started out somewhere around 22K for the car. And then, you know, the old Facebook marketplace, price chopping, price reduced, and it got to a point where the car was up for 12 grand. And at that point, I personally messaged the seller and I'm like, hey man, I want to come see this car tomorrow. And by the time I wanted to go see it, the car was gone. Rightfully so, right? I'm in Austin area, and there was guys in the North Texas Foxbody Club all around Dallas and Fort Worth area. And they were like, man, this car seems like a really good deal. And well, it was gone until about 2 weeks later, I get a random email through the contact form on my website saying, hey, I'm in Georgetown area, just north of Austin. I just picked up this Foxbody. I'm new in the Foxbody world, and I don't know much about this car I just bought. I'd love for you to look it over and, you know, come up with a maintenance plan, see what it needs, and see how we can move forward with it. And he sends me a picture of the car, and I'm like, I know exactly the car that you're talking about. And well, here it is, 1991 GT, twilight blue, titanium bottom. The car has been repainted, and there was a whole array of, like, the guy screenshotted all of the mods that were done to it, or upgrades, or maintenance, or whatever, with all these check boxes and whatever. I'm not going to bore you guys with that huge list because, well, we're going to go over this car in detail right now because, well, we need to see what this car is all about. We need to see what the owner got himself into, whether it's good or bad, and ultimately if he's got good value for money, which off the bat, I don't even care if this motor was smoking, puffing oil, or, you know what I mean, the transmission was out of it, or just whatever. Even in that worst case scenario, I will tell you right now that whether he got it for 12 or he got it for less, or he ended up paying more, I do not know what the actual purchase price was. He's got himself a really nice car. And even if he had to replace something substantial, unless we find out that this car was like cut in half and welded back together, or there happens to be a whole bunch of rust underneath it, well, the paint and body is worth whatever it is that he paid this day and age. So let's go over the car, and we'll start with the exterior. We're in the back here, so let's start here. So kudos or props to whoever did what appears to be like a mild restoration, because I say mild because so many things have actually been touched on this car, or changed, or upgraded, or redone, refinished, however you want to describe it. And the first thing that you would notice is a Cobra rear bumper cover. We got a Cobra rear wing, which I'm sure these are Cervini pieces. And actually, that is polyurethane. That is not a fiberglass piece. So, not sure where that came from. I'm going to be curious to see if they used the proper brackets underneath to mount that bumper, and we will investigate that when the car goes up in the air. You can see probably, you know, an old school set of LX taillights. We're missing the black paint around the lenses, and they're a little faded. Nothing crazy, like a scuff with a red Scotch pad and some clear coat would bring those back to life, and you could do the black trim paint, or you just get a new set of lenses and call it done. Right, Cobra rear wing, again, that's going to be fiberglass no matter what, but the fit looks pretty damn good. So somebody took the time and the care to mount that properly. And if we move along towards the front here, I think the lighting's probably better on this side. Something cool, right? Texas car, no rear defrost lines. So a nice solid tinted rear window. See, we got Scott Drake aftermarket rear quarter glass. I know they're Scott Drake because they do not say Mustang here, and I can tell by the type of rubber or injection molded composite or whatever they use in here. And these have not been painted or treated with anything. This is kind of how they would come outside of the box. And we can see that these pieces are aftermarket. I can tell by the way that this is all kind of bent up here. Daniel Carpenter. It's just the way that they are around these lips, and they're always worse on the passenger side versus the driver's side. So we'll take a look on the other side there. This has not been painted, so this is the color out of the box. Does look like they painted the door frames. Looks like they have changed the run channel moldings here. And judging by how hard they are, I think they're probably the LMR ones. We got these door belt inner and outer trim pieces. These have actually even been changed. And these guys as well. Again, these have not seen any trim paint. And I always recommend, guys, with any of these aftermarket trim pieces, including the rubber on the quarter windows, that you do paint them with trim paint that has UV protection in there, because especially in the Texas sun, this is just going to get lighter and lighter and lighter, and the same thing that happened to your factory trim is going to happen to your new aftermarket trim. Now, all of the factory windshield and rear hatch trim all looks great. They painted it all. This is aftermarket, not painted. This is aftermarket, not painted. So those pieces I would actually recommend pulling off and treating them. Of course, the mirrors have been repainted. Okay. We do not have factory lenses in the front. We'd know that if they said Ford down here. So these are in fact PDI aftermarket. I'm sure the fog lights have probably been changed from LMR. Looks like they put a brand new Ford emblem in there. So you can tell that somebody has taken the care to pull this car almost completely apart in order to do the paint work and reassemble it. Now the titanium on the bottom is a little bit darker, or maybe a shade off. That's always an arguable point, right? Satin finish or matte finish versus a gloss finish. And honestly, this is probably a little bit darker than I would have liked to have gone, but it still looks great, right? We're not factory and original here. We got a lot of aftermarket stuff. Carrying on, you can see here, this is a new aftermarket, most likely, door molding. You can see all of the two-way tape there, and it's actually coming unglued in the front and coming unglued in the rear here a bit. So that is part of the, I guess, woes of the door moldings. The skirt is off. Its brackets there, so we're gonna have to check in to that. Maybe some of the screws or the fasteners down on the bottom haven't been replaced accordingly. I can tell that this handle is one of the LMR handles because it's sticking out too far. Well, door is locked, right? So see how there's all that movement and whatever? This is that's a flimsy LMR handle. So that's what you get, unfortunately. This side isn't as shiny looking, but it looks like an aftermarket handle as well. The door, right, opens and closes nicely. We got bushings on the strikers. And everything on the inside here actually looks really nice. So what I think happened is they only did the exterior with the paint. They did not treat it like a color change. So the jambs are untouched and original. We got some torn up weather strip here, which, you know what, is as old and as tore up as it is and probably should have been changed with a lot of other components when they redid the car, it really doesn't bother me because it sort of gives me an idea of how the condition of the car was before they started. And at the end of the day, you know, this really isn't that bad, but we should get some proper weather strip in here just to make sure that, right, we don't let water or moisture or anything else get in. So we got a little bit of surface rust in the doorpost area there. That is really not that much. Quick little wire wheel, some treatment, rust converter treatment in there, and we will be good. Let's unlock here. Sounds like the door lock actuators. Okay, so the door lock actuators work. Those were probably changed, and they sound like they work quick, which, oh, see that up there? That's never fun. There we go. So we definitely need to fix the door molding. Same thing here, weather strip is torn down at the bottom. Instantly we can tell we've got recovered seats. You can see we got 50 shades of gray. That looks like a smoke gray center console piece. And this is a light titanium interior, which of course the dash pad always fades in comparison to the vents. So the vents themselves are a different shade than the surround of the vent, which is a different shade than the dash pad. And that type of stuff can drive you absolutely nuts. And here we've got an aftermarket vent that was put in, I can tell, or maybe it was painted, in fact, and they just painted it the wrong color. I can tell they did paint it because look at all the shit and trash in there. So let's take a look here. This doorpost looks good. Got the A9L sticker. So everything's looking good there. And we'll come back to the interior in a second. There's the door striker, right? Bushing's off that, and we can see where the skirt is off the brackets down on the rocker panel there, but nothing too crazy. Door sill plates in place, kick panels, all that good stuff. But let's wrap up the exterior here. Do a light check here, which obviously we got factory bulbs in there. Do both headlights work? Yes, they do. I can tell by the reflection on Justin's car over there. Fog lights work on the switch. Does not have the mean light mod, so you can't run the fogs with the parking lights, but you can run the fogs with all the lights. Looks very stock, incandescent-like, which actually, to be honest, I don't mind the incandescent look on this color combo. It almost looks rich, or like it's distinguished, like, I don't know. It almost looks proper. So when I finally get around to building out my dark blue on titanium GT that I will have one day, I will definitely probably keep the incandescent look. Let's take a look at the lights in the back here, and everything seems to be working. I'll check the reverse lights and whatnot. All right, we can check and see if the flashers are working for the turn signals. All right, no crazy out of sequence blinking due to LED bulbs or anything like that. There we go. So it's kind of like doing a safety inspection here, since Texas has actually gotten rid of them. Horn works, that's good. So I know to some of you guys out there, you're pros, and it's like, oh, this is like basic shit, why are you going over it? Well, Texas actually just recently got rid of the whole safety component of older vehicles. So for him to register this car, it's over 25 years. So emissions isn't required. Safety is no longer required. So it's sort of like Florida here now. You buy a Fox, you just go to the tax office, pay your taxes, and you get your plates, and away you go. So you will also notice, which I love, there is no front plate on this car. There's no holes for the bracket. The paint overall, let's see. Let's see what the GoPro can pick up here. So we can see we got a little bit of reaction, probably a little bit of contamination, maybe even the slightest bit of solvent pop in the clear. If we really look, there's sanding marks in here. Now this is being really, really nitpicky, guys. A paint correction would actually bring this car up really, really nice. It would get a little bit more shine out of it. And in terms of a daily driver, like, this is better than a daily driver quality paint job, in my opinion. Again, that is my opinion. So like I said, in terms of value for money, and again, if I look really close, I can see a little bit of sanding marks in the roof. There's actually a couple, right, this weird, reaction in a couple areas where it probably, the clear sunk down into some other materials. But overall, this is a beautiful car, right? I'm just showing you guys the extreme, the good, bad, and the ugly. I would rock this car. Like I said, fix the trim up, make sure that we protect that, get some door handles that aren't as hokey, fix the door moldings, the skirts, and the tail lights, redo those, and get the black around there. And whether they get clear coated or maybe a smoked cherry set would look really good back here, I don't know. But that is the scoop there. Now, spoiler alert, this is a 5-lug converted car. I know that because there's disc in the back, and he told me, and it was on the list. And just looking at these LMR chrome ponies and where that tire is sitting, I already know this is an SN95 rear end that's poking out 3/4 of an inch more, which is obviously limiting. All right, and go any lower, we're going to get into some rubs. If you guys are wondering, that is a 275 4017 in the rear. And we got a, probably what, a 245 in the front? Yeah, 245 45 in the front. Car being a 91, we got a little bit more room here, so there's probably no rubbing issues with the 45 series tire. Looks pretty good. You guys know I'm not a huge pony guy, especially chrome pony guy. The chrome does look good against the darker color. The front actually sits really nice. The rear sitting up high, but you can't go any lower in the rear because of the offset that the diff is created by running that SN95 diff. So we are 100% limited in terms of what we can do there. So that is the exterior. Let's take a look underneath the hood, because before we go to the interior, because I know a lot of you guys are about horsepower, like, what's done to this car? Here we are. So kind of your typical Foxbody engine bay that you would see on an average Fox this day and age. And interestingly enough, I painted the engine bay black, and I don't know why. Like 91, Ford was better about getting paint in the bay. I'm going to get my flashlight and just make sure that everything is looking correct. But you know what I mean? Part of me would think, oh, are they trying to hide an accident or something else? But I'm looking at the fenders and I see VIN stickers on both of them. So let's see if the VIN stickers match the VIN of the car. The VIN of the car ends in 8129. 8129. And this guy ends in 8129. So we got the factory stickers there. Front bumper cover replacement, right? You can see the black of the urethane that would have come from LMR, NPD, and we can see a little bit of the wave here. So see how it does this? Usually end up with that with the aftermarket bumper. So front bumper cover has been changed. Hood, it does not have, this looks like an aftermarket hood. I can tell the metal is, it's just cut differently. Like these edges are sharper. So this lip, right, we don't have any seam sealer or anything like that. So the hood's been replaced. And we got one of these nasty underhood insulator replacements that just look poofy and whatnot, but it is what it is. So hood's been changed, front bumper cover's been changed, maybe a light tap in the front end. The radiator support, right, if we're looking, at least they got the L brackets on. We are missing the power steering loop, right? So maybe something got crunched there. Let's take a peek down here. So there's no rust in the front frame rails, and there's no signs of a buckle here. So if there was an impact in the front, it definitely was extremely light, because otherwise you would see a wave here. And we can check the other side for the same thing. And it is dead straight. So I'm okay with that. Everything in the back of the strut towers look good. If we look at the inner aprons, right, usually things can get bent in here or bent in over there. I don't think there's any real movement. I think the radiator support is good, and you can see where this piece was. They had painted over it, right, for the power steering cooler line. Brand new AC condenser, SVE radiator, 3G alternator upgrade, SVE hoses, right? We got the lower hoses there, upgraded set of pulleys. There's like an underdrive crank for sure. Water pump looks the same. That lock washer on the water pump bolt looks a little dicey. Clutch fan is newer. Master cylinder has definitely been replaced at one point. The booster, who knows? Wiper motor is aftermarket. I can tell by the way the body of it is. Interesting to see the map sensor over there. Not sure what the deal was there. We got equal length headers. Still no pollution pump, right? We do have fuel pressure gauge on things. And, looks like a pretty nice set of headers on there. Aftermarket valve covers. We got BBK 65mm throttle body, most likely. Factory intake, 19-pound factory injectors due to the orange yellow top nature there. Motorcraft distributor, the original thing. Water pump's been changed, gasket's been changed. However, I see some oil hiding back down there, and most likely dripping from the lower intake manifold. So that gasket might need to be changed. Kind of surprised to see that, actually, right? But you never know. And they used gasket goo there. They didn't use the rubber Felpro, so you know, the whole China wall thing. Oh, so yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on there? But otherwise, things look good. Car still has, well, the EGR is there, but there is no vacuum plugged into it, which could explain when I start this car up, it kind of has like an initial surge, and then the idle comes down. So I'll take a look at that. The receiver dryer for the AC, an AC line, and all that stuff is new. And our dipstick tube. Let's see how our oil looks here. Yeah, we got oil. This dipstick tube is not factory, as we can tell. The heads are iron. The head bolts, no ARP studs or anything like that. So we can't really attest to, you know, have the heads been off and head gaskets been done or anything like that. But it is what it is. We got factory, no, we got convertible style motor mounts in here. That's another nice win. So motor's definitely been out. Maybe when it went in for paint, they went that far. They had the motor out, put the valve covers on, cleaned some stuff up, did some basic upgrades. Painted the engine bay black, probably just to try and clean it up some. And as a result, this is what we have. So, you know, a little oil leak on the lower intake gasket there, more than likely. We'll check out the EGR, a few other things. Oh, I did notice just now we got an MSD coil. But, you know what I mean? Lots of stuff has been changed and upgraded underneath the hood as well. Kind of showing how much energy, money, and time has actually been invested into this car, which is quite a bit. So let's move into the interior now, take a look real quick, and then we'll put the car on the lift, get it up in the air, take a look at the underside. So on to the interior, looks like a really nice multi-function switch. Steering wheel's been replaced with an LMR aftermarket wrapped one, which cleans up the interior really nicely. This vent's been painted as well. Door panels appear to be in real nice shape. Map pockets have been ripped off, right? Armrest pad has been replaced. This can tell by how crispy it is and the color difference, of course. So no LED conversion in the dash here, nothing crazy. We've got a Boss Elite doubled in down there, her shifter, right? Looks like the pad on the top of the console has been replaced. What do we got here? Oh, some rubber nipples, looks like for the gas door area. All right, seats have been recovered. Rears have not. So those are your factory light titanium gray tweed there. Got floor mats in here. So again, guys, somebody spent some money, some time, some effort, despite, right, new hatch carpet installed, not sitting on here properly because you need to put it on the clips and then you need to run in these screws to kind of hold stuff in place. But everything looks good. Hatch struts most likely replaced there. We don't have any rust here aside from this. And we do have a matching VIN here. Matching VIN there, matching VIN over here. So everything's looking really good. Oh, look at this. So it looks like somebody, oh, okay, that is like pressure fit in here. Okay, all right, got a aftermarket one of these and no spare tire in here. So perfect opportunity for a Base Pro hub. If you want to get some boom boom going on in the back, can definitely make that happen. Switch here is not in place, which would typically activate the light in here and activate your dome light inside. So chances are this wasn't pushing down on that, or that broke, and they just decided to unplug it. Striker bushing's been changed. Let's see how this closes and latches. That was actually pretty damn good for a Fox hatch. Let's now get the hoist arms underneath the car. We'll get the car up in the air and we'll take a look on the underside. First things first, we can see we got some slotted rotors in here, factory calipers in the front. And let's take a look at this radiator support. Is the number one thing that I want to look. Oh, they got the header panel is brand new in there as well. You can tell by that color. But right, all our radiator support looks in really good shape. So who knows? Maybe just the front bumper cover was in, well, here, made by Adobe Manufacturing Group, Milan, USA. So again, we don't know what has exactly transpired here, even this bumper piece here. So this has been replaced, and again, the header panel up there, you can see missing a speed nut on that Ford emblem. In the back there, it is actually cool that with this header panel you can access that easily. But right, they replaced it, so who knows? Maybe the bumper cover just wasn't in good form. We do not have the fog light bracket or the lower GT reinforcement bar that typically bolts on to the back of the bumper support here, and then gives you, how the hell did they mount these fog lights? Oh, that's interesting. They drilled up there and mounted them from the top side. Never seen that before. A for effort, ingenuity. However, we need to reinforce this, otherwise this is going to flap and sag and stress and make a brand new bumper and paint job look really bad real quick. So we should address that, try and find something. Frame rail, super clean. This, ooh, look at all the gasket maker here. So this is all indicative of the timing cover gasket getting replaced with, right, the motor all together. So the block's been painted blue at some point, and who knows what it's out of, or if it was the original one, they just painted it blue. But guys, look at all the oil seeping around the timing cover there. You can see there's some gasket maker. The gasket itself here is sweating, right? So that is saturated, which is not a good sign. This side is a little drier, but yeah, we need to, yeah, ultimately, I think that timing cover probably needs to come off and get redone. Factory sending unit there, that all looks the part. Like I said, convertible style motor mounts. Look at all of the drip in the front here, right? All of our tie rod boot ends are soaked. The K-member is soaked. End links look good. Got our cotter pins and everything else in there. Appears to be factory style struts. Not sure what springs those are. We'll just call them dirty. What do we got here? We got aftermarket starter, full size, not the high torque mini. We got an abused O2 sensor, which hopefully is still working. This one looks a little abused as well. Got the rag joint, doesn't look too bad. Looks like it's in good shape. I can actually see the motor mount part numbers there. It looks like, I believe that brand comes from like your O'Reilly's or Part Source or whatever else. Judging by the dipstick and the blue and everything, I want to say this motor might have been out of something else older. And they stuck it in here. Oh, Ford water pump. Would you look at that? See the sticker on there? So, got a, not too bad. Oh, look, we have a Ram clutch. The logo actually landed right in the right place, so the clutch is new. We do not have the inspection cover. That's not the end of the world, right? We can get the cover that goes on here. If the rear main is leaking, I don't think it's leaking that bad. This drain plug is probably leaking worse than the rear main is, but you never know. Off-road H-pipe and some shiny mufflers. What do we got here? Bassani. We got some subframe connectors, BBK. Bolton style, but they opted to weld them in, so that's a good thing. Got, what do we have here? New seal on the back of the transmission, and this factory drive shaft. A little bit of sweating around the speedo gear, but no big deal there. Transmission mounts, everything looks good. No issues there. Floor is in good shape. There's no rust under this car whatsoever. We don't have any cracks in the driver's side floor. Sometimes we get stress cracks back here or in this area from the seat if larger individuals had been power shifting lots in them. So even have the spring isolators in the front. Those might be stock springs cut. It's kind of what I think is going on in the front. Let's check the back out here. So somebody spent some time and some effort with the 5-lug swap. We've actually got proper emergency brake cables. We got strange adjustable rear shocks. We can tell this is an SN95 diff because we got the anti-moan brackets. We got the dust plates. We got everything on the back here. We have adjustable upper control arms, which I believe the jam nut looks like it's loose. I have to put a wrench on that and see. Oh yeah, it's definitely loose, right? Which will cause your rear end to move side to side. So your upper control arms, guys, are what centers or allows you to center your rear diff, and the lowers obviously is kind of your front and back pinion angle. Heim joint, rear lower control arms. That's a big no-no in a street car, guys. Noisy and without a reinforced torque box, right? You're just gonna fatigue that and destroy your torque boxes. So I would actually recommend replacing these lower control arms with something else. The shocks are fine. Looks like they got them turned. I don't know, they're not all the way up. They are at the same setting on both sides, so that is good. What else? SV diff cover. That is sweating a little bit. Wonder if they overfilled it. As a lot of guys will use this fill plug and then fill the diff up to here, when in fact your fill plug is on the back side right here and sits at this level. So you only need like this much diff fluid, not that much diff fluid, and this ends up being extremely common error. And a way to validate that is we can see the sweating around this area out of the breather tube cap here for the diff, which to me is indicating there's too much fluid in this diff. So what we'll do is we'll pull this plug out and we'll let the fluid drain until it stops dripping, and then our fluid should be good. I would like to trust that there's brand new fluid in here at this point, based on, right, diff got painted, diff got new diff cover, so obviously the fluid was changed, so we can validate that. The part number on the rear springs that I can see, black color, maybe Eibach, if I had to take a guess. And you can see all the room with the rear wheel here. So if we had those 3/4 of an inch back, this tire inward, we would fix all of this going on. We can see there's been rubs here, right? And you know, last thing you want to do is shred your tires or rip your quarter well out. Again, some rubs there as a result. So something to consider. The tailpipes All right, nice shape, probably Bassani. And let's take a look at these brackets. So, right, this is a urethane Cobra rear bumper cover, aftermarket of sorts. Don't know if Cervini offers one like that. I thought they were all fiberglass, or maybe somebody else offers it. I am not sure, but they did come with some brackets here, which supports this and keeps this from flopping around and doing things that you don't want it to do. Well, the old gear clamp trick to keep the hanger of the exhaust where you want it. Well, another one here. They're just trying to hold the muffler up further with that. Can't say I haven't done something like that myself in the past, so I'm not going to judge the individual who did it. Well, guys, there you have it. The outside, the inside, the underside, every side of this 1991 GT. Just going over things and figuring out what the course of action is going to be. So based off all of this, I'll be able to come up with a report and a nice summary. I'll be able to give the owner peace of mind to validate many of the parts that were described in the original listing that were changed or upgraded or modified or whatever it might be, and be able to give him probably even more insight to things now that we've looked underneath, found a couple leaks, found a couple things that we should address just to make sure that this car is going to do what he wants it to do and last him and be a nice, reliable 5.0 Fox. So I know this was a long-winded video. I am hoping that, especially if you're still watching this far, that it helped you out in some way, shape, or form, whether you're new to the Foxbody community or you've been out of it for a long time and you're looking. Couple of the key points and things that I personally look for and go over when I'm looking at a Fox that I've never seen before to see, well, is it worth it? And at the end of the day, this Fox, like I said, whether he paid 12 or he paid even 20, I'd say that this car was probably fair value even at the 20K ass. And I know he probably fell somewhere in between there, maybe even lower. We don't know, right? Who knows what happens on Marketplace, but definitely a good deal, definitely above the average Fox, and some really good time, money, and effort spent on this thing. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit more time and money spent on it, but it's going to be well spent money, and that investment will, in fact, translate itself so that if he were to post this car up next week or next year or whatever else, he's definitely not going to be losing, in my opinion. So there you have it, guys. Thank you again for following along. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you here next time on the Infamous Project.